Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I heard that you had a good opening act in Carmelo Garcia. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. It's an exciting time for us. I know some of you have called and asked for our proposal or renderings or pictures. So what we wanted to do is kind of give you an opportunity to all come together as we reveal our Amazon site. So this is essentially Newark coming forward, embracing what our 4 key sites were included in the Amazon proposal, and wanting to talk a little bit more broadly about the renaissance that's underway in this great city. So the first site that we're going to come upon is Mulberry Commons. Many of you have participated in coverage over the recent years. A long history there. This is a project nearly a decade in the making, but really will underscore a lot of what's going on in this area. What you see over on the right-hand side is the start of the redevelopment of this 22-acre site. What you see there is Ironside at how many square feet?
3 acres. Oh, the Ironside is a 300,000 square foot building. That's where Mars will be coming.
So that is within the broader 22-acre development. The entire site is 22 acres. The park itself will be a 3-acre development project. But what we essentially did with the developers that we did outreach to as we assembled all the sites for the Amazon proposal was ask them, basically, are they able to meet what Amazon was requesting both for phase 1 at 500,000 square feet, and then once they're in full blown, we're talking 8 million square feet. So what we wanted to do was really pull together a menu of options for Amazon where they can pick one site or multiple sites. They can be spread out across a campus-like environment or be more connected with the community. So Route 21 really acts as a divider, as many highways do within the city. So one of the exciting things about this project is the bridge that's going to better connect kind of both sides of the city, if you will, being an extension of the park, going over the tracks, ultimately going directly into Penn Station, but connecting to the eastward, to the ironbound side, and then that pathway leading to the Riverfront Park as well. The city in many respects feels a bit disconnected, so what we're trying to achieve with Mulberry Commons and what we think that Amazon will help add to is more of a center of gravity, if you will, and that's essentially some of the thinking behind even the name of Mulberry Commons, making sure that it's a gathering space and a connecting space rather than a gateway in and out.
Is this parking lot part of the site?
Yes. Yep. So there are 2 developers that own property within the site, both JNL and Edison. And so they, like many of the developers around the city, stepped forward and said, yes, we love Amazon, put our site in the running and use us however you'd like.
Newark really offers them in the various sites. There's a corporate center, now you can build something down by the port, you can build something by the airport. They could actually have everything they really want here.
Yeah.
That in their list of demands.
Yeah, it sounds self-serving, but for us it felt like very textbook. Like, yes, we're checking each and every box that you want and more. So there's essentially no reason for them to come, right? And none of this, for no reasons for them not to come, right? Okay. So none of the sites are near the airport. They want the proximity to the port and the airport, but they want to be centrally located, more transit-oriented development. So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Well, let me just follow up with a question real quick. Does it help you in your case that Audible's here and that they have the 7A monster down there? I mean, they're really centrally. Why go anywhere else? Is sort of the question.
Well, ask them. But I think all of the new corporations and businesses that are attracted to the city are attracted for those reasons. That they also have other comparable businesses here in this community who are thriving or doing well, who are defying what
Mayor, would you stand up so people can back
who are defying what the old narrative is about the city. Frankly, people don't want to live or be in those suburban kind of communities anymore. They don't want to have those kind of industrial park type of places that they live where there's no access to anything. They want to have access to the train, the airport, the highways, all of these things they want to have access to, and to the cultural life at the same time. People want to have access to the cultural life, and they want a menu of options. And so we benefit from being in the location that we have. We benefit because we have all of the amenities in and around our area. The region is probably the most densely populated region, in this side of the coast. I mean, so there are a lot of reasons why people would look at Newark as an opportunity. And then when you look at all of the corporations that are here. So Audible, yes, helps us. And in fact, they use their voice. These corporate communities use their voice to help us seal the deal. When we get close to the finish line, we call them up and say, can you call these people? Can you talk to them? Can you, explain to them what your environment here is like?
In that respect, how important is the Mars decision for you? Because it's almost the same thing. They have Hackettstown.
Right. It's exactly
now they're moving into the city.
It's tremendous.
So they have Cranberry. Now they have. Okay.
Right.
Is that something you're going to talk to them about? Like look at Mars?
Absolutely. Same thing we did to Mars. Same thing we did to Broadridge. You have them, and in a meeting, I told them directly, call Prudential, call Audible, call the owners of the New Jersey Devils and the Prudential Arena. Ask them how's business, how's security, how's life, what it feels like in the city, what do you think is happening in Newark now. So we're not afraid to tell them to reach out to those folks because we're all on the same page. Finally, all of us are singing the same song off the same sheet of music. So I don't have any trepidation whatsoever about telling them to call any of these folks, and they help us seal the deal without question. Without question, and I don't have to call them and say, look, such and such is going to call you, right? They already know what the drill is. At this point, it has happened several times. So,
is any of the sites that you're talking about on Port Authority property?
Well, the Port Authority's property is our property, but that's another discussion.
Let me rephrase it. Is any of it on property that Port Authority pays you a lousy lease for?
I don't believe so.
No.
Okay. It's all North property.
That would be another. Yeah, we would have to be in court again.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that they have stuff that we have some modicum of control over.
Okay.
Or we have relationships with the people who have control over it. And,
so the port and airport sites are not Port Authority leased property?
There are not any port or airport sites.
No.
Oh, okay.
At all. But we would have to have them on a bus with us.
So this is the Matrix Riverfront site, another anchor location basically that Matrix has about 5.6 acres here, and it ties in beautifully because this is where we're doing the major Riverfront project, right? It's basically 17 acres, 3 miles long. We hired James Corner, who did the High Line in New York City. He's our landscape architect.
This side of the river or that side of the river?
This side. This side. This is going to be a full
This is Newark. That's Harrison.
Okay, that's it.
from Raymond all the way down to 4th Avenue. That's the vision that we're working on. So we just did a groundbreaking for Phase 4 a month ago. Phase 3, we're doing a ribbon cutting along this riverfront, and again, it's going to be 17 acres, 3 miles long, and connecting to Mulberry Commons and all threading throughout the city for interconnectivity purposes. So Matrix was proposing a hotel, 2 residential buildings and 1 commercial. They've changed that up to offer it to Amazon to build out, for Amazon's purpose on the Phase 2 of their requirements.
So some of what we highlighted in the proposal as we kind of come up closer to the Bear Stadium site and connected that to the Broad Street station was the amenities in the area, Barcade coming online, having cultural outlets here like the museum, like the public programming that happens at the library. We of course talked about and highlighted the phenomenal university system here. There are over 50,000 students and faculty in the city alone, 100,000 graduates annually just around the region. So we talked a lot about talent within the proposal. That is the #1 reason that Amazon even went out for bid. There's a bit of a brain drain in the Seattle area. It's one of the reasons why we're pretty confident that whatever city they pick will be on the East Coast. they'll likely want to be in the metropolitan area, and Newark is exactly at the halfway point between DC and Boston. So we do feel like we're well positioned both for talent attraction, but then also tapping into who's already here. We will hop out.
So just behind us is the Cable Vision building. That's one of their satellite headquarters over here. This site is also going to be redeveloped over there. The Hispanic Focus Center, that's Fidelco, Mark Burson. They're going to be doing, I think it's a 300 unit development over there. And the beauty about this location, the North Gateway, is that you have the Broad Street Station Transit Hub, which is underutilized, which I know New Jersey Transit is going to be very happy to have this increase in ridership, but more importantly, giving our residents the ability, again, with the light rail. We have 14 light rail stops that bring you back to the Penn Station NJ-PAC area. And then over here is where you're going to have potentially 2,000 residential units, and of course the 5 million square feet that we're talking about, the commercial space that would be available for Amazon in the 1 to 8 million square feet that they will be looking for in phase 2.
Is the whole Amazon thing holding up the redevelopment of the Bears Steel Stadium?
I would not at all. I think that the key is again, you do either design, build, or build to suit, right? So they're looking to do build to suit for an Amazon if they come. So they're moving forward fast, but they're going to do it in a build to suit model that
so
would
if Amazon
placate
doesn't come, there will be someone else who will.
We're confident there'll be other anchor tenants who'll be looking to come to Newark because of the live, learn, work, play atmosphere that's been created, and all this amazing 18 minutes to Manhattan. You just can't beat it.
Some days.
Where do you see your biggest competition coming from?
That's a good question. We don't think we have. I was gonna say, we don't think we have any competition. When you look at their specifications, honestly, when you look at their requirements, Newark is ideal. It's a true marriage that would work out. But you had Philly in the mix. You had.
So we're not going to name drop any other cities. No one has everything checking all the boxes the way we do.
That's
no one. Everybody has a little bit of something, and then the broader piece is kind of the social imperative, that moral imperative. That there are a few cities that can say that, but then they don't have all the kind of business school textbook definitions in the same way that Newark does. So we genuinely do not feel like we have any competition. There are some people that have done a slightly better job maybe at marketing, but that's all marketing.
In that respect, the city narrative is so important. Yes. Like Philadelphia is Philadelphia, New York's New York. They can really help change the city, and you think that's very important to them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And for a company of their size that's really concerned about their reputational value, they can make a statement with a move to a city like Newark.
And if you're in Newark, you still have access to those other places.
All right, so let's get back on the bus. One of the things that Audible has been touting, they've been trying to lure Amazon and others for years, long before the RFP came out. What they've been really promoting and touting is the high concentration of SDEs of software design engineers that they've been able to tap into while they've been here. So that number was at something like 20 in Philly's proposal. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because Carmelo called them out. So we're actually pulling up the exact number. We had it in the application. It's a few hundred. And so when we're just looking at Newark compared to other cities and what Amazon needs, it's here. Audible has been selling it and touting it for years, but just by the books, by the numbers, there's no way that you can deny the talent concentration, the proximity, the infrastructure here. So we've kind of glossed over this, but the data infrastructure in our city is unmatched in the world. We have the fastest internet in the world. And for a tech company to be able to leverage that, that's huge. And that's really hard to match. So Broadridge will tell you that in order for them to make a decision to move 1,000 employees within a state, a matter of a few miles, there has to be some really strong logic behind that. And at least half of their reason, they will tell you, was because they wanted to be able to tap into the dark fiber, the tech infrastructure that's here in the city. And so we talked a lot about that in our proposal and are hoping that Amazon really sees the value the same way that Audible has, the same way that Broadridge is starting to, and other major corporations have. Not sure if you want to get out here or not, but want to at least quickly point out on your right, 33 Washington, and then right behind us is Washington Park. So 33 Washington was included in the chart as some of the space that's immediately available to address their phase 1 500,000 square feet request.
33 Washington's the big one.
Yep,
The
that kind
Ice
of,
Cube building.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And IDT also is part of the mix.
And who's in 33 Washington now?
It's
They're right now undergoing. There's 3 floors that are occupied. As a matter of fact, Audible is taking 2 more floors in that building.
Okay.
The owner is redesigning that like a WeWorks, Bellworks, so like that it can really attract that talent pool, and of course and house the kind of talent that they'll be having. So Audible is taking 2 floors there as well, and they're thinking of putting that as like a second sort of satellite headquarters for Audible there.
Mayor, let me ask you a question. What's the
this is it,
blowback
yes.
like now? I mean, so as Carmelo's talking about the high-end restaurants, we're passing the guy with the van with the backpacks. What's your blowback from your vendors, the street vendors, those kind of people?
Well, the street vendors haven't really been. I think they haven't really been saying much. They're making money. The more people on the street, the more they benefit from it. I don't think it has had an effect on them. I mean, some of the smaller businesses, in terms of the rents, I mean, we have to figure out how to deal with that. That's a concern. Folks who've been here who have been paying a certain amount of rent, we need to try to figure out how to sustain some of those small businesses that are still here.
What about but what about the general feel of Broaden Market? The general feel, when we walked around there with the cops that day when you were putting more police down there.
Yeah.
But the general feel of Broaden Market is still that, as we talked about before, the center of gravity. It's the center of gravity in the city for regular people. And are you concerned about a displacement of regular people to these, restaurant rows and these guys?
As opposed to irregular people?
Well, the high-end millennials, the tech guys.
Yeah, no, I think that, when we say the center of gravity, I think the whole downtown is we're creating a neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's, Newark has had a history where downtown has actually not been a place even for a lot of shopping, right? So most of the stuff took place on the corridors. Unfortunately, when those places began to shut down, post-rebellion and all the other kind of things, and the economic downturn, a lot of folks relied on coming to this area or then Jersey Gardens, other places like that. What we're actually trying to do is put a neighborhood down here, put people down here, put places down here where people want to come to, not where they can hang out, so they don't have to hang out on Broaden Market,
Right.
That there's a park for them to go to, that there's events happening, that Military Park is alive, that Washington Park is alive, that Lincoln Park is alive, and that there are opportunities for all kinds of people to intermingle, to talk, to discuss, to hang out in the downtown area, and not just mill up and down the street or go to stores or hang out with the vendors. We want them to actually have things to do, and that invites everybody. Same way, it does on 42nd Street. I mean, when 42nd Street was one way, when it turned into, the Times Square that it is now, it's been inviting to everyone. We want to create the same kind of atmosphere here.
It also invites criticism about gentrification, so you got to armor yourself against that to some extent, right?
Well, as long as we, make sure that we are creating development that's equitable and that has a kind of universal design where it gives access to all kinds of people, where we have some affordability in housing, some small retail that is still here, some of that mom and pop feel, that we don't have these big box stores taking over everything, that we retain Newark's historical feel. I think that the folks that are putting these things together understand that that's what we're trying to do.
Was Amazon impressed by the 10% affordable
20%
housing?
ICO, yeah, I think inclusionary zoning.
Was it? No, I'm talking about the affordable housing and the new development downtown.
20%.
Yeah, the 20%.
20%. Were they thrilled with that? Did they?
Well, we didn't have a conversation with Bezos, if that was what you mean. So
When you do, tell them to buy the Star Ledger, will you?
I don't know what his personal sentiments are about it, but ultimately I think that that's a part of the overall narrative, that we're building a city that everybody could live in, that everybody could be a part of. We don't want to be Manhattan where affordable housing is $3,500, right? So we want to be able to have units that everybody can be a part of, a democracy that's inclusive of all residents, right? And that's what we're trying to create, an economic kind of opportunity for everybody. So, and I think that that's what they want to do at the same time. So I don't see the...
What are other cities doing that's so wrong in this area? Because most other cities that have experienced gentrification, that have brought up their you know, their downtown areas and stuff, have run into this problem. So what are you going to do that's different from that?
Well, we started early. I think some of the problem is, and that's the pushback that we get now, that we started too early, right? And these people started too late. So now they're talking about things, and the problem with that is now that the area median income is too damn high. And so even the affordable percentage of the area median income is out of the range of regular working people. And because the cost of living is increasing and not their salaries, that there's uneven kind of development there, it makes it difficult for people to find housing. Not just people who you traditionally think are folks that are looking for affordable housing. You're talking about regular folks, to use his term, the who are, you know, have jobs, who are working, who cannot afford. I mean, yeah, people who live on Wall Street can't afford it. I mean, they work on Wall Street can't afford to live in Manhattan, right? So, I mean, those people are going to obviously be pushed out into the outer boroughs. The outer boroughs are filled, so now they're going to come this way looking for spaces to fill. And the rent here, our market rent is less than the affordable rent in Manhattan, right? So it makes it a no-brainer for people to try to find Newark as a place to stay. And so most of these places are going to explode with people once they figure out that Newark is a place to go, right? We're going to have to do whatever we can to keep them out of here, because I think they're going to come in here at that speed. But I think they started too late, and they don't have any rent control or rent stabilization to you know, buttress it. And New York does, but because New York started too late, I mean, some of those units, the law says that, you know, if you can't fill up those units, that you get to bypass rent stabilization. But I don't think anybody has the political will to do that. But ultimately, they have 40, 50%.
You guys just passed an inclusionary zoning law.
Is what?
You just passed an inclusionary
Right, that's
zoning.
what I mean. When people saying that we're doing it too early, and I would push back and say, no, we're doing it at the right time. Now we could debate and go back and forth and fix it and make changes or whatever it is, but we need to address affordability now. There's probably no place in the country now that's not talking about affordable housing.
Do you think that's a positive or a negative for your, you know, push for Amazon?
Well, I don't look at it as a negative. I think that some people, you know, some of the developers will tell you that because they don't want to do it. But I mean, ultimately, I think it fits in Amazon's idea, and they have obviously the capital where none of this stuff will bother them anyway. I think that, you know, what they want to do is have a major impact on a growing American city. This is an opportunity to do that, and because we are like progressive in terms of how we are trying to create development in Newark, I think it fits along the lines of what their ideology is.
I guess too that I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask. You know, the governor threw out the figure of $7 billion in tax breaks,
Right.
And that's gotten a lot of criticism. Do you think that $7 billion is too much, or do you think
Well, it depends on the return on the investment, right? And so you're talking about communities that have had no investment in 50, 60 years, where there's been red lines drawn around the entire community but nobody invested in it at all. So if you take my perspective, I would say that $7 billion is not enough to invest in a city like Newark, where the GDP for the state of New Jersey is created, where, you know, everybody is, the trend in America is reversing back to these cities, that you have to invest in these cities in order to see the economy of the state grow, the economy of the country grow, that you have to employ thousands of people who've never been in the labor pool, not in the market. You have to invest in an economy that has been sluggish because there's been no investment or lack of investment. So I think that that's something that you should be doing, actually. And so the return on investment is what are we going to get for that, which is important, right? So if you're investing $7 billion to get nothing, then it's a mistake. But if you're investing in it to create jobs and create wealth that will go back into the economy, that you create property taxes, that you create payroll taxes and all kind of other taxes that goes back into the economy, that allows people the opportunity to have better lives and move on into the middle class. I think that isn't the argument, and it depends on who's looking at it. And I think because New Jersey has a plethora of issues economically, that becomes a main argument for people. Why do we want to give this company this much money? And I understand that, and I understand the sensitivities around that as well. But my perspective is we need somebody to invest something in these communities, and if we have to at least get them to the table by saying that, then let's do it. And when we get here, we talk, we negotiate, and we figure out how New Jersey benefits from this, and more importantly, to me, how Newark benefits.
If you had a smaller level of tax breaks, say $3 billion or something like that, then the likelihood of it netting out positive for both the city and the larger state or whatever would be greater, wouldn't it?
Sure. Obviously, if you can invest more and make more, I mean, that's the art of making a deal, right? So at the end of the day, if you can invest more money and make more money, that's exactly what you want. And ultimately, I think that, when they did the mathematics, they showed that the state would make a considerable amount more money than they would invest, in terms of the economy. So I think it comes out into the net positive, which is important for me. And I absolutely know that it's going to be a net positive for the city of Newark.
At 7.
Yeah, at 7, they said that. So, I mean, if there's a way we can talk to Amazon and reduce that, I mean, nobody on this bus would be opposed to that. Nobody in the state of New Jersey would be opposed to that either. But right. So if there's a way we can reduce it and get them to get in here, that's great. But right now that's where the offer is, and there's no deal been made. So hopefully we get them to the table and get them to see that we're serious about what we're trying to do here, and that's important. Like, we didn't send a cactus over there, you know what I mean? We didn't build a big Amazon billboard thing. We didn't have a lady show up there. We have all this kind of craziness that they've been doing. What we've done is say that we're serious about it. We parceled the land together. We put all of the corporations together, and we put our money where our mouth is. And we said, listen, this is what we're willing to do for you to come to the table. Now they come to the table, we negotiate all of these kinds of things and figure it out. But we have to show them that we mean business, that this is not a joke, that Newark is not just in there for the circus of folks that are saying, oh, we're buying for Amazon. We're doing it because we need it. We want it. We think it improves the city. We think it improves the state. As a matter of fact, we think Amazon in Newark helps the entire region, and the millions of people up and down the eastern seaboard benefit from Amazon being in this region. Absolutely. There's no argument. I don't think anybody can argue that point. New York benefits if Amazon is here, right? New York benefits Amazon in Newark. Every city in the state of New Jersey benefits if Amazon comes here. Even Philly benefits. All these people benefit from Amazon choosing to come to the East Coast with that much investment, that much development, that much business.
So we're at the last site. I'm not trying to move this along, but and then we can hop out if folks want. This is the Soma site, which is south of Market, RBH Group. And this is actually a scattered site, so we're looking at one parking lot parcel. To someone's earlier question, they would have multiple buildings.
It's like a 6-block radius, basically.
People have been waiting for these moments to take place, and I'm just blessed to be a part of the time when this stuff has happened. And then I guess it kind of just sets context for the sense of urgency that I have to make these things happen and actually see that they actually come into fruition, and they're just not like ribbon cuttings with no groundbreakings and groundbreakings with no buildings and things that happen that don't really happen. I have to give credit to the former mayor, because a lot of the initial things that we were able to accomplish is because he put us on the field. If you ain't in the game, you can't win. You understand what I'm saying?
That's Mayor Booker you're talking about.
Right. So we if we didn't come starting with zero, like we in the middle of the field, we got to get the ball over the finish line. It's still a feat, trust me.
Yeah.
Harder than even I expect. But you know, those things are important, and so we did that. And once we were able to accomplish those things, it created the kind of confidence in the market and in a place that allowed other people to say, "This is happening. Let us invest. Let us come. Let us get involved." And that's what we're experiencing of that, and that's why there's a lot of anxiety about us doing inclusionary, us doing other kinds of pieces, because they never seen Newark moving at this pace, at this speed, and things are actually happening. So a lot of people are afraid that if we do these other things, it's going to slow it back down again. And if Amazon doesn't come, and other people, I'm sure would be welcoming them to come into the city of Newark as well.
So you think it's an eye opener that you're even in the game?
Listen, 5 years ago we couldn't even have been in this process.
Right. Okay.
You know, we wouldn't have been able to even. I don't think the state of New Jersey would have got behind us. I don't believe that we would have been able to get the developers to talk to each other, to parcel these lands together, to agree on much of anything. Hell, we couldn't get the developers to agree on doing Mulberry Commons. I mean, for 10 years they were fighting each other about trying to make that thing happen.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
I guess when folks said if they could get those guys in the room and make something happen, then I mean we about do anything